the most violent people on the planet Earth are men. The most docile people on the Earth are also men.
And I was probably like 5'10", maybe 5'11" with my heels.
I'm a scientist studying human mating. Here's why blonde men give women the egg. This phenomenon went viral a while ago. I didn't talk about it at the time, too painful, but I'm ready to talk about it now. Men with darker hair are perceived as more intelligent, more ambitious, more successful, more dependable, and more mature than lighter-haired men. And yes, also more attractive. It is not a myth. I am quite familiar with the literature on women's hair color preferences, and women consistently prefer dark hair. I've never seen a study where women preferred blonde men. Now, the strength of the pattern varies depending on how you measure it. Hair color really isn't a huge contributor to attractiveness, so it's not going to show up strongly in someone's revealed preferences. But to give you an idea, the largest study on this subject found that only 1 in 5 American women actually actively prefer blonde men. Now, there's surely a cultural influence here. I wouldn't expect this to be an immutable preference, but many scholars have argued that women's relative aversion to lighter-haired men may partially reflect our evolved psychology. You have to remember that first, hair color is to some extent a dimorphic trait. In the UK Biobank data, women are about 27% more likely to be naturally blonde than men. Men's hair tends to be darker than women's hair on average. And second, light hair tends to become more pigmented throughout childhood and adolescence. A lot of people who were blonde as children do not hold on to their blonde into adulthood. So blonde hair is basically a feminine and childish quality. Now, there are some feminine traits that women seem to prefer in men's faces, such as rosy lips, but generally, feminine and childish is not the aesthetic that you want to cultivate as an adult man competing on the heterosexual mating market. And I'd say that's partially why blonde men give so many women the ick. So does this mean that you should dye your hair brown if you're naturally a blonde guy? No. In fact, I just dyed my hair even blonder, despite being familiar with this research. And here's why I don't think I'm nerfing myself. Number one, I'm actually in this literature, and I can tell you that physical attractiveness mate preferences are a lot more diverse than many content creators would have you believe. A lot of guys, especially in that looks maxing bubble, essentially undertake a strategy where they try to match themselves to the average preference of women. It's a pretty low resolution approach. They'll read a study or an abstract of a study and see that on average, women think blonde guys are less attractive, and from that conclude, oh, I'll get more attention if I dye my hair brown. And that sounds rational, and with some traits, it'll basically be true. But if we look at the numbers in this case, about 1/5 of American women prefer blondes, and then what? 1 in 20 American guys actually are blonde? 1 in 10, maybe? The supply and demand ratio for blonde guys is very favorable to the suppliers. It's like 4 buyers for every 1 seller. So in this case, and many others, you might experience less attention for your looks by aiming for the center of the bullseye. This is a counterintuitive but common pattern in the mate preferences literature. Aiming for mass appeal often means aiming for mass competition. I'd say that being a blonde guy is kind of like being heavily tattooed, right? Most people don't like the aesthetic, sure, but the people who like it often love it. And there isn't as much competition for those people. My fiance specifically loves the blonde, so it would be strategically imprudent for me to aim at the average woman's mate preference by dyeing my hair brown, right? In my situation, I think I can afford to be a little more finely tuned to my target audience in my beautification. Number two, I think a huge part of beautification is and should continue to be self-expression, right? I want to see people with all sorts of looks, right? Don't get me wrong, I think beautification is great, and I think that improving aspects of attractiveness that are stably preferred, such as cues to youth and health, like skin smoothness and hair density, improving stuff like that is almost always going to be a good call. But for more taste-based stuff, I think if everyone aimed for the generic, most attractive, on average look, beyond being strategically imprudent for them, it would be a little boring for the rest of us. Thanks for listening. Until next time. I'm a scientist studying human
I just realized there's a blonde guy right here.
But do the carpets match the
He's
drapes?
naturally a redhead. Look at his roots.
Let me say a couple things. Yeah. So first thing I want to go over, this is not my, I don't know anything about this because I've never been blonde, but there's work from Satoshi Kanazawa in his book, Why Beautiful People Have More Daughters, where he goes over the concept and he explains this. It's not him who discovered this, but women generally cannot maintain blonde hair as they get older. Like I said, the hair gets more pigmented over time. So being blonde is a sign of youth, and it's a sign of youth in fertility, and being younger is something that is more
Women.
Exactly. You know where I'm going with this.
Usually older men with younger
Correct.
women.
Correct.
I love how well read Michael is.
Correct.
Wait,
So that,
look
at your blonde, beautiful
so
hair.
let me finish because I have two data points.
Okay.
I have 2 data points because apparently from this other creator said that I misrepresent all this stuff. This is from Satoshi Kanazawa's book. It's called Why Beautiful People Have More Daughters, and goes into that. So the blonde hair, the reason why women will dye their hair blonde later in their 30s and 40s is because men historically or ancestrally may have saw that as being a sign of youth. That's the number one. And so that may not translate over to men like it does to women. Second thing is a book by, wait for it, Dr. David Buss and Cindy Messing. They lived on the campus of the University of Texas at Austin. They're both sex researchers. They were down the hall from one another. I asked Dr. Buss why he wrote this book, and the book is called Why Women Have Sex, and it goes over 276 reasons why women have sex. What I was going to say, Mackin is completely right about the second point. The different ways that men can attract women are numerous. They are legion, which is why I've said a million times, if I am just in a short-term context, I've got my physical appearance and maybe some form of status or money, and that's it. If I get a woman into a familiar context where she gets to see a bunch of different things about me, relevancy, competency, humor, charisma, pre-selection, social proof, leadership, access to scarce networks and
Family
locations, etc.
orientation.
If I'm able to see that all of those different attributes, then I have multiple different plays I can run to generate attraction. If I'm in an unfamiliar context, I only have 1 or 2 or 3 ways to generate attraction. And so again, he's right there. And then I'm bringing that from the data. But again, I'm just a dumb, angry manosphere, incel, maggot, MAGA reporter, whatever, troglodyte who drags my knuckles.
All right.
I will say though, even with him talking about like the guys with the blonde hair like seem like dumber, it's the same as girls though, because it's all the dumb blonde jokes. Like I feel like that goes hand in hand like with guys, you know, but I feel like more blonde girls get more of the dumb blonde jokes than like blonde guys.
I will bet you there is no greater distribution of dumbness with blonde women. I think you just notice it because they're blonde.
I think it's because there's so many fucking jokes about dumb
I think what I'm saying is,
what
I'm saying is, if we go with IQ, a lot of people don't recognize this. The average IQ for men and women is the same. More women, however, are in the middle of the distribution. The middle of the distribution for IQ is between 85 and 115. More women are inside that distribution. More men are outside that distribution, which means the smartest people in the world today are men. The dumbest people in the world today are men. By the way, that distribution holds for several different things. Dr. Steve Stewart Williams talks about this in his book, A Billion Years of Sex Differences. The most violent people on the planet Earth are men. The most docile people on the earth are also men. The fastest humans on the planet are men. The slowest humans on the planet are also
You're an
men.
interesting creature.
Yeah.
Wait,
Well,
I have a question.
I'd like to send this message out to Mac, and Mac and I completely can relate with your frustration with being blonde, but because this was my drip. That was me at 28 right there.
We can't see.
I can't see. Hold on.
There we go.
There we go.
Yes.
But here we got a shot. Is that a Chad guy, ladies?
That's me at 28.
Is that a
there.
Chad,
That was
ladies?
pretty much my look from the time I was 20 till I was about 29.
How old are you now?
I am 58 years old right now.
Wait, I have a question. That study he mentioned, did he say UK or who?
I'd have to. There's several different studies. I think it's almost like a
just in
meta-analysis.
general, okay.
Every study claims that women tend to prefer darker hair.
I
should say this is about like 3 months before my wedding too.
Yeah, but the
my
thing,
wife happened to like blonde hair. I don't know. Maybe she's one of the weird ones.
The thing he said was also very astute.
Yeah.
If 10% of men have blonde hair,
yeah,
and 20% of women say that they prefer blonde hair, only 20%, there's still more buyers than sellers.
Yeah.
So it's not a bad place to be. It's just you guys who have tattoo sleeves who weren't running biker gangs, they might not get a ton of attraction from every woman, but there's a certain group of women they're going to get a lot of attraction from. Guys who take steroids and are super yoked that go to the gym, they're not going to get attraction from every woman, but there is a subset of women they're going to get a ton of attraction from. And guys who are just tall and not that good looking, they're not going to get attraction from every woman, but there's a certain subset of women who only like tall guys, and they're going to get a ton of attraction from those women. That's the point. That's what the difference is. Whereas women, I do think the way men are attracted to women is a little bit more uniform. I think most men find Selma Hayek in Dusk Till Dawn attractive. Most men find Margot Robbie in Wolf of Wall Street attractive. Not like the vast majority of men would find them attractive. The things men find attractive in women, I think, are a little bit what's it called? Positive cortosis, and then things that men find attractive in women is a little bit more negative cortosis. That's just my hypothesis.
When you said Margot, Wolf of Wall Street, I finally fucking understood everything you said.
You understood.
But
Roby.
so today I'm 5'6", yellow teeth, and I'm doing better than ever when it comes to women.
Yeah.
But I remember going to Vegas for the first time in 2008, and I was probably like 5'10", maybe 5'11" with my heels, blonde, shredded, tan, and I did very, very well. Better than I do today, in a way. But I just lasered in on that one thing I saw that I liked that happened to just take me back to this crazy room that's like famous and Shark Tanks and bowling alleys, and I'm like, holy smokes, like I drop $250,000 on having a night like that. But even though this girl's boyfriend had like his name on his toilet paper on his fucking PJ, and she ended up moving to Portland, Oregon, where I'm from, to be with me, it didn't last very long. It was over very quickly, which is what.
Why are you smiling, Giovanna?
No, I just know this story.
Okay, all right. I was like, Giovanna, what color was the toilet paper? That was about to ask.
I know this story. No, it's not me, of course not.
Yeah.
But it's a It's a good
Well, it
story. I
just
know
made
the
me
story.
realize, like, I stopped focusing on, you know, at the time I could put up
Yeah.
2 plates for 17 reps. I valued physical fitness, strength, different things. I was trained for my first amateur fight, and I started diverting my attention towards, and I kind of like talking to you because you're well read, you know, the leaders of the world, the readers of the world. I just live, 99% of people live off of their own experience, and you know, learning from other people's experiences could be wisdom, but I'm kind of self-taught. It's
Well, even as a kid, you're like, oh, I want to be an adult, and you don't listen to your parents, but you learn through time, which your parents did the same exact thing. Like, you learn through your own experiences, whether people tell you right from wrong.
You can do
You're gonna do whatever you want to do, and you're
Right.
gonna learn.
Fail
from it.
forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, you learn better
Fail
from your
forward.
own mistakes,
Sure.
but if you
Literally.
could learn from someone
Because
else's.
people could tell
and
me,
from
oh,
your own.
Monica, don't date a felon. They're horrible. What am I gonna do?
I could, but
I could, but
But a type is a type.
anyway, continue because I'm invested.
Yeah, I mean, back then, Palms was really popular, and I remember seeing people from like American Pie at like the parties, and I mean, I was shredded, 6-pack, good-looking kid, but I couldn't buy a bunch of bottles. I didn't have a section. I was just like kind
Yep.
of part of something, and I would say, homeboy, I was clapping for him when he talked about kindness, because for a long-term relationship, you're definitely gonna want to exercise some respect and
And
kindness.
Agreed.
understanding.
But to get through the
Yes.
door,
Yep.
Yeah.
I would say you might want to do the opposite. of
Thank
all
you.
that.
That's my
Yeah.
point.
100%.
no one ever, no man has ever kindness.
And no disrespect to him, you, or any of you. I read more than any of you, and women do not give
Yeah.
a shit
And
that I read.
and I fuck more than anyone I've ever fucking met. So